Chad Prather rose to internet fandom as the man who's unapologetically Southern.
Heath Oaks is a published author who failed his way to success.
Together, they tackle today's headlines in a way only a Southern Spitfire and a millennial mogul can.
Take off your sport coat, grab a beer, and enjoy the conversation.
This is Second Shot with Chad Prather and Heath Oaks.
Well, with a carb-friendly Monster energy drink in my hand, I sit at the RNCN studios feeling very hyper next to the most hyper man on the planet, Heath Oaks.
I can tell you that my energy level is a little bit down today. You know, we spent,
a lot of time in a truck.
I spent 11 hours with Mr. Prather yesterday in a truck, and then Brighton decided to be up at about 2:30 in the morning, and then I couldn't go back down, and so this is going to be a fun day.
Zach, Kristen, did y'all get any sleep last night?
I got a little bit.
I did.
Yeah.
A little. Today was Will's first day of daycare, so,
How does Will sleep at night?
He sleeps pretty good. He sleeps about 6 hours. A solid 6 hour stretch, and then after that, it's about every 3 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
that's
God
not bad
I
at
don't
all.
have babies. I want them for I want my kids to be babies again for about an hour.
Yeah.
And I want them to go back to be at 19, 17, 13, and 10.
I can get you to come watch mine for about an hour.
No,
And
I
she'll
don't want
give
it.
you-
I don't want your baby.
Brighton will give you all you can handle for about a solid hour,
Yeah.
I can promise.
Yeah. And now I don't even want to go into a restaurant and sit next to a baby.
We won't even take
belongs
Brighton
to
to a
somebody.
restaurant. We've not even taken our child to a restaurant.
I'll get on an
Not
airplane
at
and
all.
Not at all.
I can hear people
You
behind
can't. You
me.
got to hold her the whole time, bounce, move, whatever. She will not sit still.
I remember
I don't
those
know where
days.
she gets that from.
One
No
of the
idea.
One of the
No
most
idea.
glorious days of my life was when we no longer had to use a diaper bag
Oh, man.
and have to tote that thing around and carrying a kid in a car seat and those things.
Yeah.
Wow.
The kid in the car seat is hard.
It is hard. It's a workout.
It's heavy.
It's
a
like
workout.
30 pounds.
I agree.
Let me tell you, you should have been back there in the days back in the ancient days when they made those things out of lead.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It's like an iron cage we kept those kids in.
What are we going to pull up first here, Zach?
Well, I got a couple stories. First things first, something in the tech world. Elon Musk, if you remember that guy, the guy who makes Tesla.
Who could forget?
He said artificial intelligence, his prediction is that artificial intelligence battle will most likely be the cause of World War III.
What does he say? Why? What is the...
Right. Here's
He saw
what he's
Terminator.
saying. Right.
Exactly.
He saw the new Terminator and he wasn't a fan. Here's what he's saying. He's saying that the new countries are going to start developing artificial intelligence technology faster and faster, and this is going to start building towards national use. Bigger systems are going to start being used for it, things like banking, hospitals, whatever. Eventually, it's going to get to a point where it needs to have some kind of regulation, and he thinks government should start to get in front of that now and start putting things in place now as hurdles that you have to kind of get past for artificial intelligence. Because at some point, if you let it get too out of control, countries that are big in computer science, like China or Japan, are really going to want to, they might let this get away from them, and it might turn into some kind of big how to do.
So he's basically saying get the regulations in place now before it is even going, which can be difficult probably as well, to figure out what they should be. But what's your take on that?
We just shut down Skynet because somewhere out there, Kyle Reese is going to find a way to come back into time, and he's going to meet Sarah Connor, and they're going to have John Connor.
Right. They've got
Exactly.
us covered.
And John Connor is probably parading around like Elon Musk. And so I say we just pull the plug on the whole thing. At this point in time, as much time as I spend out in the world dealing with people, I'm just happy to know there's any kind of intelligence. If it's artificial or because there's not
that
a
is
lot
something
of
lacking these days.
there's
isn't
not
it?
a lot of just pure intelligence. It's ridiculous. No, I don't know. I'm so ignorant, honestly, when it comes to issues like this because I know that so much of our life is run by technology, and
Yep.
so much of it we're so tied in. The internet has changed things. The scary thing for me is how much has changed just in the last, say, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
When I was Zach and Kristen's age, the concept of I think there was maybe a beeper. You could get a beeper.
Yep.
And that's about all the technology there was. My father, I remember when he got a cell phone installed in his truck, and I was like, wow.
The big bag.
That's crazy. And now, I could pull up a camera right here and see what's going on inside of my house at this very moment.
I told Jeannie I feel like I'm living the Truman Show with all the cameras in the house now with the baby.
I can even look into my neighbor's house right now. That's how
creepy.
advanced we are. Yeah, but we're nosy. But I don't know. I think there's a little fat guy in North Korea that's going to start World War III quicker than technology, unfortunately. But it's a weird deal. Well, it's a weird world we're living in.
You know, I'll tell you, and just so I forgot to do the introduction whenever we came in, which is what we do is take headlines and we try to take a second shot at them. We want to take a twist or a turn on them of things that something grabbed us about your business or your personal life. One of the things that grabbed me with this, because this had hit me probably pretty hard this last week, been on my mind, which is there's that old saying that people say, "Don't put the cart before the horse," right? And that's basically, you know, that can pertain to so many things. Do more work on things, get things lined out, do all that. Where I absolutely disagree with that statement in a massive way. I believe in putting the cart before the horse, without a doubt, almost 100% of the time. And you know, kind of what he's talking about in the headline, which is, you know, we need to go get these regulations out there now before it does start really kind of going into what it is, which, you know, regulations are a whole nother debate. Some think they're too many, some think they're not too much. But what I get out of it is I believe you got to put the cart before the horse. I believe that to get anything done in your personal life or in your business life, you got to put, sometimes the cart needs to go ahead of the horse. You've got to go get things out there to see what the heck you've got to fix. Like, you can't plan for everything. You can't sit there and come up with every roadblock you know you're going to hit, because I can tell you, if you've never been through that, you don't even know 70% of the roadblocks you're going to hit.
Right. Yeah. And pertaining to this article in particular, like, it's difficult to make regulations on something if a law isn't even in place yet. But I think what they're saying is it's important, and I think what you're saying, Heath, is that it's important just to open up the conversation and start talking about the issues now, so that collectively, you know, as a society, we can find morals and standards for which we want to abide by when these things start happening, so that we're not making decisions after the fact and then it's an afterthought.
It's difficult to create rules and regulations to govern something that doesn't exist yet. Yeah. And so my fear is that if you create those rules and regulations, now you go and build something that will fit within the regulations that still can be molded and bent to fit a certain will. So you got to be careful on that. But I'm with you on that. I mean, that's a hard one on the cart before the horse.
What is that? You've heard that saying. What is your thought on that saying?
What's that? The cart before the horse?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I mean, because when I hear that, and I know probably listeners are too, I hear that and I go, God, how does that work? You know, how does that work? I think for me, you got to have a cart that's worth pulling. Mm-hmm. You got to build something, and that's why I'm talking about the rules and regulations. You got to have something to regulate first. First of all, maybe we just let Elon Musk run the world. Yeah. Because I mean, it amazes me how smart the man is and just what he's done. But what I tend to say, and let's get back to the personal aspect of this and the business aspect of this and the life stuff. What's your cart? What cart do you have that could potentially get out of control? Yep. That you need to get control of right now? You know, what's your cart? What is your situation? What is your thing that could, if it gets out of hand? Look, I'll be honest with you. I've got a situation going on right now that is stressing me out, and my cart is my social media.
Yep.
As big as it is, as huge as it is. I had somebody who sent one today, and they said, "You haven't posted anything today," and I said,
"Just need a break."
I might not post anything today.
Yeah.
Now, chances are that's not true, but for me, it's like, what do I do with this? Because for me, that cart can get out of control.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I talk more so around the people that want to sit around and talk about what they're going to do. And sometimes when you put it out there, like, say you're recovering from an addiction, say you're recovering from some sort of an ill, there's a lot of people dealing with addicted with all things that they're addicted to, right? And I have a lot of people that I know in the past that will say, look, I'm not open, I don't really want to talk about it because I don't feel like I'm fully recovered myself yet. I can tell you, the more you talk about it, the more you put that cart in front of the horse, the less you are going to do to relapse because it's on your conscience. So I believe putting the cart before the horse. Sometimes get out there and talk about it. You know, if you're recovering and you're not feeling like you're well enough to do it, if you start talking about it and put it out there, going back will be more difficult because you've been out there putting it, right? You've been putting that front out there. It's harder. I think when you're sitting around talking about something you're going to do in your business or in your personal life, you're sitting around planning it to death, put the cart in front of the dadgum horse and try to figure out how the horse can get in front of it and pull it. And I can promise you things will move faster when you do that because you cannot foresee all of the roadblocks coming.
Right.
You cannot do it. And so the quicker way to do it is just put yourself in a bind to have to make it happen. And it's amazing, I think, how you will, the things that you can do, you will be amazed at what you can pull out.
We're going to take a 30-second break. During the 30 seconds, we want you to get your cart in order, all right? We'll come back with the horses on the second segment of Second Shot.
He likes cowboy hats and boots.
And he's a suit and tie kind of guy. Chad Prather and Heath Oaks host more of Second Shot coming up on RNCN.
Ready, aim, fire. Second Shot is back for another round on the Real News Communications Network.
What up, everybody? We're back on the Second Shot with the second segment.
You went backwards on that one.
I
That
know,
actually,
we
was that
did.
easier to say?
I think it might have been.
Yeah. It seemed
Now
like
I'm
that-
thinking about it. We're on the second segment of the Second Shot. Second Shot, it doesn't matter.
It's all there. It's fun.
That's always
Doesn't
fun.
matter.
Well, we set ourselves up for a little tongue twister on that one, didn't we?
We did. I am on. You ever get Google alerts about yourself?
No, I just
yourself?
check I do Google myself.
Do you Google yourself?
Absolutely, because
You look at the bottom?
Well, no,
See who
no,
else is
no. I
Googling?
just look to make sure there's nothing crazy
Yeah.
out there because I know people that have had things happen to them where they had the same name as somebody else that was arrested, like for something. I know somebody
I've
who
got that
literally did not
situation.
get a job
Really?
because they thought that they were an unregistered like
Sorry.
like something crazy, and it wasn't them. It was somebody else with the same name.
Yeah.
But like that's scary.
That is terrible.
And I've had
I shouldn't
I've had-
laugh at that, but that's...
And I've had people that have, what do they call that? Catfishing. They've used
Yeah.
my face and
Oh,
profile
really?
for catfishing.
That's how you know you've made it.
And so
When you're being used.
So
as-
I Google
yeah.
myself to find because
Yeah.
I know I've not been on any dating websites in ever.
Sure.
So if there's anything about me on a dating website, it is not me. I can
Yeah,
guarantee.
same
All
here.
right. Yeah. Good to
Same
know. If you
here.
see Chad Prather or Heath Oaks on a dating website, do
Well-
not assume it's them.
If you could actually Google Chad Prather and you could look up domestic violence, and there is a guy who apparently beat up his wife in Atlanta, Georgia, a couple of years ago, and got arrested for that. And I've gotten a lot of messages of people saying, "You're a douchebag. You're that guy."
Sure.
So I know it's crazy.
No, I'm
Well,
not.
you're from Georgia, right?
I'm from Georgia. And
Yeah,
so
that'll-
that's what happens.
Yeah. Get a
That's
little
what happens.
crossover there.
So
And yeah, people can't figure out where I'm from. Wikipedia says I was born in New Jersey, so they're haters out there who are convinced I'm from
Right.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Not
All
that
right.
there's anything wrong from I mean I got a kid at every exit in New Jersey, so nothing wrong with New Jersey.
It's a good stretch of road down there. Yeah. All right, so I wanted to get to the headline for this segment. Hollywood is suffering its worst attended summer movie season in 25 years. Entertainment. It's a little different on this show. Not that we're not entertaining. It's 3 reasons cited for Hollywood doing poorly this summer. Netflix is a problem, according to big box studios. Rising ticket and concession prices an issue. And finally, and lastly in this list, which I think is the important one, they think movies are just not as good now. And they're like, well, that's completely secondary to everything else, though. Competition and rising prices, those are our real problems. It's not that our movies are bad. It's that the economy, that's the issue. So what do you guys think about that?
I would agree with all of those, except for Netflix doesn't put good movies on anymore. Netflix plays the stuff that nobody wants to watch anyway. You almost have to go to your streaming deal like an Apple TV and rent a movie from Apple or Redbox or something like that. But I will agree that the quality of movies has gone down, and I will add a fourth element to that. I think a lot of people are fed up with Hollywood.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are just sick and tired of the politics that come out of Hollywood. And we have a new president. If you have been asleep for the last 7 months, we have a new president. He's not the most popular guy in the world if you listen to the media or to Hollywood. And I think a lot of people are sick of hearing that rhetoric. And so I think that's another thing. I think a lot of people are demonstrating their support with their pocketbook by withholding money from Hollywood. I can tell you that I looked at the movies. You read off the movies, a lot of the big ones that have come out this summer. I haven't seen a single one. And I love movies. I'm a film buff, but I have not seen a single one of those.
Let me rattle off a couple of these. The Mummy, Baywatch, The Dark Tower, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, the Alien sequel, Alien 5, Transformers 5, Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Come on, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, we're playing.
Part 5.
You know what I get out of this though is like the difference. What I love is the disruption of the movie business, right? This is one of those classic things that in your relationship with your spouse, or like if you don't focus on evolving as a person and evolving that relationship, spicing things up, as they say, not getting in that habit of that, you know what, she's married to me or he's married to me, stuck with me, I'm going to just do the mundane, right?
Yep.
Netflix will come along and disrupt that. You know what I mean? And in your business life as well, if you're not focusing on the next big breakthrough with it, when I forget his name, but he's the guy who he had a lot to do with the Netflix stuff where he puts out the movie, those movies that you named off, the budgets for them are hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Outrageous.
Where the guy with that, I forget his name, but he was a big producer and they all made fun of him when he started doing the deal where he was doing movies for $380,000 budgets, $800,000 budgets. And he goes, look, if I put out 100 of them and 2 of them hit, which 2 of them hit 70, 80, 90 million dollars in sales, my profit margin's massive. So his model was quantity, right?
Yeah.
And Hollywood spending all this money on movies, they are lacking behind on the disruption because they didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
It's like Blockbuster. That was one of those companies that Blockbuster is almost like Walmart going out of business. I feel like back in the day, like nothing was better than a kid getting to go to the movie store.
Oh, I loved
Blockbuster
it.
was probably the one you
Made
went
my
to.
life, man. I was every Friday night. I was in there with a Papa John's pizza and renting a movie.
And so I think in your personal life as well, like you can't get in that mundane and get blinded by the things coming. Like how is Hollywood not caught on to the Netflix is the streaming where they're putting out lots of movies, right? You know what? They're doing well. They're making 10 times more profit. Hollywood can't be. It's got to be in because the amount of money they're spending on these movies, there can't be a lot there. So you have to be ready for the disruption and be planning for it and trying to get creative.
Ask the music industry when Napster came along.
Yep.
It destroyed people's lives. Artists, songwriters, it destroyed their lives. And obviously Hollywood's not learning a big lesson from that. People are going to find economic ways to do it. They're going to find nowadays people are looking for more and more ways to stay home. So you have to evolve with your customer base.
Yep.
You have to move with your customer base. What is going to lend itself to it? And you're right. Movie prices are expensive. Nobody wants to go out there and mortgage a house in order to buy popcorn.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do because that's what keeps the theater itself in business. They don't make any money off the movies. They make it off of concessions, so they have to charge an arm and a leg on that. I will go one other step on the application end of that thing, and my thing about that is learn to tell a better story.
Yep.
In your life, you have a story. You are selling yourself, you're selling your message, you're selling your products, whatever that may be. Learn to tell a better story, a compelling story, one that's worth listening to, one that's worth, make it enjoyable. Make it something that people say, wow, you need to hear this guy's story. And I think Hollywood has forgotten the ability to tell a story. I mean, it's the same movie they released last year. I mean, if you're watching, what is it, Transformers? If you're watching the same car unfold itself into a space robot 5 times every year, you're telling the same story. It's not compelling anymore. Don't be
mundane.
Zach Lewis Part 4.
Yes.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, be Zach Lewis number 1. Tell that story and do it. And I think that a lot of people don't know how to do that anymore. I did a podcast with your buddies TJ and Craig this morning, and we talked a lot about that. How do you be yourself and tell your story? So I think that Hollywood's forgotten how to tell a story. Because let me tell you something. I love a good movie. I love good acting. I love a good script. If I love a good, well-delivered line, I'll pay money.
I will too.
I'll pay money to go to the theater. It's worth going to.
But I think about how we don't see disruptions coming in our lives.
Right.
Because we're not looking for them. I think you've got to be looking for it. I think you need to be looking at your personal relationship, and if you're feeling in a routine, you're in trouble. Look for the disruptor. Disrupt it in a great positive light. Don't sit there and let Netflix come along and the red box and put Blockbuster out of business. Yeah. Don't let something come along and put your marriage out of business. Like, you have to look to be creative. You have to put the spice in. You have to, like you said, telling your story. Change the story of your personal life.
Gotta
right?
Be dynamic. It's gotta be
you
dynamic.
got to be dynamic. Look for the disruptions have came along in every arena there is possible. And a marriage is not. I love when people go, well, so and so changed. Who's not going to change every 10 years? You know what I mean? 5 years. Change with it.
Yeah.
You need to change as well. If somebody's growing and you're not, you're probably the problem. You got to grow.
Study Steve Jobs.
Yep.
Study Apple computers. Study their technology. Study what the things that they've done. They're always
all the disruptions.
They're telling the same story. It's the same brand, but they're all the stuff that's come along. They've managed to, and now they're on top of the world.
Absolutely. But you got to be able to tell your story, right? And you have to be looking for disruptions. And in your business as well, like if you're a plumber and have a plumbing shop, you need to be having somebody spending time looking for what's disrupting this, because you can't just expect plumbing going to be around how it is forever. Somebody's going to come in that industry and blow it up. If you're looking for ways to blow things up and get things creative to keep them spicy, you have to do that. That's not something that just happens.
Yeah.
You have to have a focus on it. Would you agree?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
100%. I could apply it to my life over and over again. In fact, what you just said, I'm convicted. My heart, because it goes back to the social media thing. With with so much I do on social media, I can't tell you how many part 4s and 5s I keep posting.
Yeah, you got to disrupt
because I'm trying to figure out ways to make it innovative and fresh, and that's hard for me because that is an entertainment avenue for me, and it's tough.
Yep. All right.
Well, anyway, so, all right, we're going to come back to the third segment. We're going to tell you about a little adventure that Heath and I had just yesterday, so stay tuned to Second Shot.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Second Shot with Chad and Heath still to come. Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot with Chad and Heath on RNCN.
What's up, everybody? We are back. Man, you know what? Texas has been suffering, and everybody that's on the planet knows Texas has been suffering because
Unless you've been under a rock.
Basically, the biggest storm that anyone alive has seen in the state of Texas hit us, a week and a half ago in Hurricane Harvey, and came in, tropical storm, and just absolutely flooded the southern part of Texas. Everything within, hundreds of miles in from the Gulf Coast is underwater. It redefined the map of Texas.
I heard a stat that said the rainfall that fell with that hurricane, you could cover the lower 48 states with 7 inches of water, and that would be equal to the amount of rainfall that hit South Texas.
I read it was 27 trillion gallons of water.
That's
is
not even Warren
insane.
Buffett type numbers.
No, it's not. I mean, it's ridiculous. And what's crazy to me, I said
makes Warren Buffett look like
I said to somebody yesterday, I said, you got 600,000 acres of Montana that's on fire right now. If we take that water and transpose it over,
wouldn't that be nice?
Just put it over there and just drop it on Montana right now. It'd be wonderful.
Be great.
But yeah, it's bad, and we've seen the devastation. We've seen 180,000 homes destroyed. We've seen tens of thousands of people displaced. We've seen at least 50 that have become tragic victims with fatalities, and just everybody suffering. We've seen folks come from all over the country. We've seen Texans band together to come in with rescue efforts. I've seen videos, and I've seen it with my own eyes, line after line of just traffic backed up of people pulling their boats down to go in and go find people. My good friends, I call them my family, rednecks with paychecks. They took all of their monster trucks down there and their old military vehicles, and they were able to go places that the authorities couldn't go and rescue people. And they and the Cajun Navy were so impressive in their efforts that President Trump actually requested a meeting with them. And so Derek Morris, my buddy, that's the head of Rednecks with Paychecks, he visited with Trump and the First Lady the other day. So, it's bad. I mean, it's really, really bad. But, and talk a little bit about what we did.
We talked a little bit about it on the last podcast as well, but yesterday, Chad and I were blessed enough to be able to make a trip down we were sitting around Sunday, and I was sitting there feeding Brighton, all by my lonesome, and she was gurgling and talking, and and I said, my wife asked me, hey, are you working tomorrow? I said, well, yeah, why not? She goes, well, it's Labor Day. I go, oh, I didn't even think about that. And, I was like, so I text Chad. I said, are you back in Texas? He goes, yeah, I am. I said, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, oh, I really don't have plans yet. And I said, let's make us a run. Like, I put the cart before the horse because I was like, let's do it all. We'll figure it out. Like, we'll get the U-Haul later and all that. So I'm like, my thing is, I'm one of those that if you put me under pressure, I do 10 times better.
Yeah.
Me
If I am like not against the ropes, I'm just not as good. But like by saying, look, let's do this, and then posting it and not having any of the details done, there's no way I could have, because I could have easily figured out a way to justify with a 3-month-old wife at work, long day when your wife's got to get up early. Like, there's a lot of things I could have justified on and been legit, but we put it out there. Chad posted about it. I did. My wife did. Went and got a U-Haul on Sunday and posted it out front and sat there, and a lot of gracious people came by over that night, and then in the morning, and we filled the U-Haul up with a lot of things. They need a lot of cleaning supplies like that. What hits me hard is having a 3-month-old, and as soon as we brought diapers, like, parents coming, oh my God, thank you, because like their kid's been wearing the same diaper for a couple days because they don't have any. Like that hits you right in the heart. I don't care who you are. And when Chad and I, we spent 10 hours in the vehicle. Now I'll tell you this: both of our wives, my wife was always like, Heath, you're just so optimistic. You always think that it's not going to cost this as much or it's not going to take as long. She's like, there's no way you're driving down 5 hours one way, dropping all this stuff off and coming 5 hours back, leaving at 9 in the morning and going to be back by 8 p.m. It's not going to happen. I was like, oh, it will happen. Well, Chad tells me that his wife did the same thing. She was it's not going to happen. Y'all guys aren't going to do it. And I was like, we will make this happen. Yeah. Luckily, we got a new U-Haul that did not have the governor at the 60, Governor's at 90. I did figure that out. And we got it loaded up with stuff, and we took off down there, and we made it back by 7:30. I beat our time by 30 minutes. So I was like, there you go.
It would have been impossible for them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say just because they're women, but because I know those women.
Yeah.
So it would have. They wouldn't have made it.
She would have hated it because I was driving so fast.
Well, I got up yesterday morning. I had to go be on Fox and Friends, and if you haven't seen that link, go check it out. Talking about Harvey, and I got out of bed. It was early. I was groggy, and I said, you know what? I don't think we can make it. Mathematically, it's just not possible. And then I sat on the toilet, and my brain started working again, and I started doing the math on my fingers, and I was like, yeah, we technically should make it in exactly, the 11 hours. And so kudos to you. You drove the entire way down and back.
I like driving.
But we had, what would you say? We probably had about $6,000, $7,000 worth of goods in the truck that we were able to deliver. And
I'd say at least.
It was a very well diversified.
Of things they really needed.
Stuff they really, really needed.
Because they're not really needing the clothes and stuff. That's the thing is some people are bringing clothes, but they don't, cleaning supplies is massive. They don't have anywhere within a 3-hour radius where they can get cleaning supplies. Diapers, formulas, wipes, things of that nature. Those, your basic needs. Look around your house. If your house was underwater by 3-4 foot, what would you need to get that fixed, right? And you say you have no Walmart or nothing within 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's the things that they're needing right now. We got down there, and it was such an awesome group of people at the First Baptist Church there in Morris. I can't ever say it right. Mauriceville. In Orange. It's Orange address, but it's kind
Texas,
of the First Baptist Church, they're phenomenal people, such nice people.
Yep.
The whole church was underwater, and it was getting cleaned out, and we saw the lines of people lining up trying to get something to eat with people handing out food because there wasn't any down there. It's one of those things that it's legit, guys and girls, and that I hope that you be looking for some posts. My cousin is getting a 18-wheeler set up in Denton at the Denton Realtors Association, and it's going to be open on 8 to 5 every day to go fill that up. And his goal is to get that semi-truck filled with stuff, and those company will drive that semi-trailer full of stuff and supplies down. Because Beaumont area and all that area where we were at are the small little towns that are needing it in a big way.
Yeah, and I don't care when you listen to this podcast. You can listen to this podcast 12 months from now after it's been recorded.
It still needs help.
They still need help. I promise you, that storm, this damage is that bad. It will never be the same in South Texas. Okay, folks, we got to get out of here. Pray for Texas. Pray for Montana. Pray for Oregon, Utah, Washington, Northern California, the Los Angeles area. Man, they're all on fire.
The Bahamas and Florida. What's
Dude,
coming
and
up.
Irma's coming. It's going to make landfall in the Virgin Islands. It's a bad deal. Heath, where can they find you?
Ignorance on Fire or at Heath Oaks. And also, the third segment's when we usually take listener emails, and we didn't have any this week. But secondshotcast@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, anything you got, send it our way.
Yep, come on to watchchad.com, or you can find me at politicalcowboy.com. I will stir it all up. We got a new one,
No,
too,
you
called
stirring anything?
Yeah, you got, oh, brother.
I don't believe you would stir anything, Chad
Pissing
Fraser.
people off by the thousands every day. My new mission in
That's
life.
your new slogan.
Hell yeah, I'm going to make T-shirts. Hey, we love you guys. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for subscribing. Leave us a good review, and we will see you next week on another episode of Second Shot.
You're listening to RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.